Have you ever sat on a long haul international flight thinking, why did I forget to pack that? Or why is this ridiculous thing in my bag? The truth is, what you put in that personal item bag can make or break those 10 hours in the air. Today, I'll show you exactly what to pack so that you can stay calm, comfortable, and maybe even enjoy the flight. Hey, I'm Angela. I moved from the US to Europe 6 years ago, and since then, I've been averaging about 3 international flights a year. I have got it down to a science. And when I talk to folks who are unsure about traveling to Europe, it's always the same thing that's holding them back. They're not sure that they can endure a 10-hour flight from the US to Europe. Exploring the Louvre or eating gelato in Rome, they love the idea of traveling through Europe. It's the idea of getting there that has them worried. Honestly, I completely understand. Any flight longer than 5 hours can be a lot. And most of the flights that will take Americans to Europe are going to run you somewhere between 8 and 15 hours in the air. In this video, I'm going to show you the items to put in your personal item bag or your carry-on, more on that distinction later, so that you can have a comfortable and enjoyable flight. Why are we talking about like a personal item bag and not just my carry-on? Once you put things into your carry-on bag and you put your carry-on bag into the overhead compartment, girl, you're not getting that bag out unless like you absolutely need something. It's really important when you're packing to like make sure that all of these essentials are in your personal item bag. Things that go into your carry-on bag and up into the overhead compartment, in some ways they're as good as gone. Okay, I actually have an international flight tomorrow morning and I should be packing for it, but I'm making a YouTube video instead. First of all, I'm gonna start with my long haul flight essentials. So these are things that I have gotten in the habit of packing for every single long haul flight, and there is a method to the madness. First of all, the least glamorous of all, I always pack compression socks. Now, this is something that I read about in Vogue from, apparently it's like a supermodel hack, or so they say. But one of the problems I had when I first moved to Europe and I was doing all the traveling back and forth was that wherever I arrived, I would arrive with incredibly swollen ankles. And this is very triggering for me because when I was a kid, my brother would make fun of me by saying that I had cankles. So very triggered, very worried, had to find a solution. And compression socks are just that. I don't actually know how they work, but they compress your blood vessels, and I think that that stops blood from pooling in your ankle. I don't know, but I do think that they work. Typically, what I do is I pack this cute little roll tied with a ribbon into my personal like item bag, not my carry-on because I want everything to be easy to get to. And then I will change into these right before I get on the plane. I don't like wearing them for like, 15, 16, 18 hours, so I don't put them on before I get to the airport. But as soon as we're about to board, these puppies go on. Really, really recommend these. Another essential that you really should have are noise canceling headphones. The noise on an airplane, it's just kind of constant. There's always going to be that kind of like mechanical noise in the air. And that's why having noise canceling headphones is such a game changer. I used to think that it was something that people who were like really into music would do. I'm not into this like high fidelity sound or whatever, but it is a game changer because it just blocks out that kind of like airplane noise. So it has less to do with music quality or what you're gonna be listening to, and more about that noise canceling feature that I really, really appreciate. The second thing that held me back from getting these sooner is that I am not necessarily the person that needs like the most expensive speaker. And I always saw super, super expensive headphones out there. So the brand that I bought is Anchor. They just make like quality, good, affordably priced headphones. And I got these, I think they were under $100 when I bought them. And I've been really happy with their performance ever since. Would highly recommend these. I should probably mention these guys. So of course, we all love a good AirPod. And this is a little tool that has gotten very popular recently. It's the dongle that you can like plug in to the entertainment system, and then you can like connect to your earpods through Bluetooth. Theoretically, it's great. I was just on a Qatar Airways flight though, and they had like a different jack, so this guy didn't work. And the other kind of downside to this setup is you're not getting that like over the ear noise canceling effect. There is that in-ear noise canceling. It works okay. But the biggest problem I found with AirPods on long haul flights is just the battery life. So if you don't mind plugging these puppies in while you're sitting in your seat and keeping an eye on the battery power, you shouldn't have a problem. But the battery life of something like this is going to last you for at least one whole flight, whereas I have had AirPods kind of peter out on me before halfway through a flight. Another essential that I have, I typically put it in this like little silk bag. I call it my sleep bag because without this, it's really difficult to get any sort of sleep if it's a US to Europe flight, or sometimes on a Europe to US flight, you're not gonna sleep, but you just want to like close your eyes, block out the light, rest, relax. And that's where kind of keeping all of my sleep related stuff together has really been a huge help. So the essentials, the things that I would really, really recommend, one is going to be a silk sleep mask. This one is deliciously gaudy, but it will just block out all of the like visible light. Don't get me wrong, most flights are kept pretty dark once you've finished like dinner service, but it really is like next level. And I think there's also something about the sensory experience of like telling yourself, okay, now I'm gonna try to get some sleep. And this apparatus is like silk against my face. It's giving my brain that kind of signal that it's time to try and sleep. Also, these are just soft silicone earplugs. I got a huge package of these from Target the last time that I was in the States. I think it was like 50 pack, and I'm now probably down to the last few, but these are fantastic to just pop into your ears along with a sleep mask. It is really the essential setup if you want to sleep. Get some shut-eye. Now, when I am really optimized, this sleep bag has two other things in it. They're probably not essentials, but they have become essentials for me. Melatonin. I just, your girl's got energy, and sometimes I need to like signal to the hormones that it's time to sleep. Melatonin is good for that. This is not medical advice. I don't think it's habit forming. The other is this really, really wonderful deep sleep pillow spray. Kind of smells like lavender. Honestly, I don't even know if they still make this, but this is another thing where if you just spritz this over your little airline pillow before you're about to drift off to daydreams, very good. I always try to have like some sort of wrap or a sweatshirt. I think like a cashmere wrap is particularly good, especially if you're trying to be chic while being in the airport. I have some mixed feelings about that, but I think you do need to kind of dress in layers when you're on a plane, because sometimes that air conditioning is a little too powerful. So it's always a good idea to pack something like a cashmere wrap is probably the perfect item that you can like throw over yourself and just kind of, stay warm. On an international flight, the airline is going to give you a blanket as well. It's usually scratchy and it's not very high end. It's fine, but I tend to like to bring something to just kind of feel a little bit better against my skin. This last one is controversial. I don't carry this anymore. I dug it out of an old drawer. I still have this, but I have not traveled with this in a long time. Oh my God, it's the travel neck pillow. I don't know. It's just like, is it really doing anything? I don't know. Honestly, I stopped carrying this when it must have been like the third or fourth flight where I came home. It takes up so much space in your bag. And I didn't use it at all. And I was like, this is it, I'm done. Plus, who wants to be a neck pillow person, right? Now, I know that there are so many different types of neck pillows out there these days. There's like a new crop of neck pillows. There's that one that kind of looks like, God, it looks like a neck brace with like some felt over top of it. I don't know, I'm just like not really a neck pillow person. If that is your thing, don't forget to pack it, but I think survive without it, even in economy. The next section is all about in-flight skincare. It's no secret that the environment in an airplane is like kind of terrible for your skin, right? So it's really important to moisturize, I would say like multiple times while you're in the air. And the way that I do this is it's just kind of like a little ritual. Typically when I've come back from the bathroom, so I've just like washed my hands. Usually I have like this kind of little bag and I will just open it, and depending on what I want to moisturize, right? Like I will maybe pull out some hand lotion, moisturize there. Sometimes I will re-up with just my like basic moisturizer. This has a sunscreen in it, which is also good if you're on a plane. It sounds crazy, but apparently the rays up there are more potent. I am out of kind of like my secret weapon, but what I would really recommend is it's like that cold pressed marula oil from The Ordinary. That is typically my favorite thing to put on, because you come back from washing your hands, you just put a little bit of that between your palms, and it's just a great way to refresh and totally moisturize your skin while you are on a plane. That would be my pick. Unfortunately, I don't have it. Another one that is kind of like a timeless classic is one of these little tiny mists. The good thing about a mist is it's like its own moment of, okay, I'm resetting, I'm giving myself a little refresh. It's probably not for everyone. Some people think it's a little bit of a scam, but I enjoy it. I like it. The other thing, I have tons of lip balms, but a good lip balm, nothing worse than chapped lips on a plane. So always pack a good lip balm. I would also recommend one with like an SPF, but look at me, no SPF. Dry eyes are also terrible when you are in the air. You need to get a new one of these, but this is like Target brand of lubricating eye drops. But these are another thing where you can just have this moment on the plane where like you're kind of refreshing yourself through moisture. I wear contact lenses, so this is kind of necessary if I'm on a long flight. Hand cream, really love this Aesop one. Just smells fantastic. Another thing that I would recommend bringing is a refillable water bottle. A lot of airports have gotten good about having these like refillable water stations. And when you consider that water at the airport is in some cases pushing like €5 a bottle, it's a lot better to just refill it yourself. The other thing that I have had happen on flights before is when the flight is like very quiet, kind of that halfway point, everybody's eaten, the lights are down, it's just like very quiet. Sometimes you can go to the back of the plane or one of the bays where the flight attendants are, and you can just say, hi, can you refill my water bottle? If you are like a hydration junkie like I am, they will fill up that water for you, just complimentary. Okay, the next most important thing when you are on a flight is you want to be entertained. We already talked about like the headset setup and the difference between those two options. Now you might be saying, Angela, there is an entertainment system on the back of the seat in front of me. The airline is going to give me headphones to put over my ears. I don't need a thing. Well, I was just on an international flight, and before we went to board, an announcement came over the speaker and said, hey everybody, the entire flight's entertainment system, it just doesn't work. So I certainly hope that that doesn't happen to you, but relying on the airline provided entertainment, it can sometimes let you down. Things that I like to bring are Kindle or an e-reader, load up a couple of books, and you will be very good in the event that something is not available from the seatback entertainment console. I also like to download onto my iPhone a ton of like games or podcasts or things that I can use without a Wi-Fi connection, just in case I get super bored. If you plan on using your phone or using a laptop or a tablet, then I would really recommend one of these battery packs. Now, there are smaller ones out there, especially if you're just looking to charge your phone on the fly, but this one is especially good if you have tablets, laptops, other like kind of more heavy duty things to charge. Obviously, don't forget your phone charging cables. If you have one of the old style like iPhone chargers that still has the USB port, not the USB-C, the new one, but kind of that old, what we think of like a USB stick, I would strongly recommend bringing that, because planes are just, they're a little bit older and a lot of them don't have this USB-C. They only have that USB, I think it's called B. Basically the iPhone charger that kind of looks like that on the end. I would bring that because it's it's gonna be more likely that you can do in-seat charging with that type rather than the newer USB-C iPhone chargers. Okay, and finally, there are just a few other carry-on essentials that I always try to have in my bag. I kind of try to organize everything in this little pouch because nothing is worse than like having to dig in your personal item bag when you're trying to find something. So this keeps everything kind of at the ready, close at hand, organized. Hand sanitizer. I mean, come on, if you're gonna be in an airport, you have no idea what you're going to be touching. Always a good idea to have hand sanitizer. Same thing with just like a pack of Kleenexes or tissues. I feel like these are great if somebody spills something or kind of get like the airport sniffles. I always try to pack these as well. This next one is probably going to be triggering to some people. I'm sorry, but I am still packing masks when I take an international flight. But hear me out. If you have ever sat down into your seat, prepared to take your international flight, only to find that the person next to you is coughing up a lung, you are going to be very happy that you have folded up and very discreetly packed a face mask. We're past all this, aren't we? But like, come on. I used to always get sick on planes, and the pandemic actually taught me that wearing a mask kept me from catching the common cold on a flight. So it's now something I do quite a bit. Stay safe out there. I would also recommend snacks if that's kind of your vibe, if you like a particular style of snack. For example, the things that are handed out on the plane are usually very like carby and salty. If you like something a little bit more substantial, like a protein bar, it's always a good idea to pack a couple of those as well. Some people will also want to go as far as like a full toiletry kit. That might be overkill, I think. I think having a toothbrush and some toothpaste is a good idea because when you land at your destination, it's also a way to just kind of quickly freshen up. But again, space is at a premium. Okay, I know I am like throwing a lot at you. I actually kind of feel like a prop comedian, like Carrot Top or something. But I would love to know, like, what is the thing that you have to have on a flight in order to like be comfortable or to survive? Tell me in the comments below. And I don't care if it's like unhinged or crazy. You are talking to a girl who once did a full sheet mask on a flight. No shame. And on that note, I want to talk about 3 bags that I have used as my personal item bag in the past and the pros and cons of each of them. So first up is the Louis Vuitton Noe bag. This is a great bag. It's kind of structured at the bottom, but it does not have a zipper. And so that is one of the reasons why this bag, even though it has been on multiple international flights with me, it's probably not the best one to pack. The problem that I often had with this one is that in order to put it under the seat, I had to flip it on its side, right? And so I always had this risk that like things would fall out of it. I don't think you necessarily have to have a zippered bag, and I'm going to show you one that doesn't have a zipper but still works quite well. But the issue with this one is that it is so tall, it required a change of position in order to get under the seat, and that just didn't fly without a zipper. Now, this is just an old like Lululemon gym bag. Also doesn't really have a zipper. I mean, it has a zippered compartment, but for the most part, the interior is open. But this one has like better structure to it. It's also not as tall as the Noe, so I was able to like get it under the seat without having to flip it onto its side. So just another example that not every bag has to have a zipper, but consider the size and how it would actually fit under the seat in front of you, because this is where your personal item bag should actually be. Another bag that is great for your personal item bag, the Longchamp Pliage. I recently got the backpack version, which I love. They've updated the style, and so it just feels a little more European, honestly, but it has a full-size zipper up here. This one also probably has to lie flat when it goes under the seat, but because of the zipper, nothing falls out. If you have the over-the-shoulder version of the Pliage too, that's also a great option because the zipper kind of keeps everything in there. Wow, if you have made it this deep into the video, then I have a special gift for you. If you are trying to plan a trip to Europe and you maybe need some help or some guidance, then my 8-part email course called How to Plan a Trip to Europe is perfect for you. It is just me kind of going into very, very detailed inside baseball on how each step of the planning process should work. It's everything from like how to budget, how to choose your destination, how to book airline tickets. If you want to sign up, you can do so in the link in the description below. Good luck surviving your international flight, and keep an eye on this channel because I am going to do another video about how to survive both overnight flights and flights from Europe to the US because I take a lot of them and I have a lot of tips, silly things like whether or not you should eat dinner on an overnight flight or if you should skip it, like lots of inside baseball. So stay tuned and subscribe for more great videos. And if you want to keep watching right now, then I would suggest this video. Until next time.